Hello, welcome to Chocks Hawaii. Just for those of you who don't know, obviously pilots say chocks away when they want their chocks, which are blocks of wood under their wheels, and they want them taken away so they can actually move the plane. And Hawaii is a phrase that we use in the northeast of England, which means come on. So chocks Hawaii is a hilariously um, named or hilarious portmanteau of those two things. So yeah, let's first of all, let's just take a moment to marvel at X-Plane 12.06 release candidate 3. Um, this is combined with Sim Heaven, which gives us an updated mesh and updated information about things like building footprints and whatnot. So for me, that just makes things a bit more realistic and a bit less uh, mm, default X-Planey, which is a great engine, but when it comes to landscapes and default sceneries, it does get blown out of the water. However, what you might notice here is this looks quite photorealistic. And what I've done is I've combined Sim Heaven Europe with Auto Ortho. Now, what Auto Ortho does behind the scenes is as your aircraft, or the camera, I guess, in this situation, when the player of X-Plane goes into a certain region, it goes off to Bing, which is a search engine apparently. I hadn't heard of it before, but apparently Bing is this search engine, which is like Google, but you Google with Bing. And what Bing also does, like Google, Google has maps. Bing also apparently has maps. It's amazing. So what you can do with Auto Ortho, all automatically behind the scenes, you don't actually have to do anything at all, but Auto Ortho will actually download satellite imagery from the area that you are in. So all of this here is satellite imagery streamed from the big interwebs, and it's come onto this machine, and this is more or less what you would see if you approach Newcastle Airport. This is my nearest large international airport and where we'll be based today. So as we come into Newcastle Airport, these are more or less the fields that you'll be coming over. And you can tell it's satellite imagery because you'll notice that the roads, the fields, don't sort of span roads. You can see that the fields on the right-hand side with the tractor tracks in only go up to the road and then no further. And you've got very different types of fields on the other side of the road. However, when you look at the default scenery, you often find that there's just big rectangular slabs which are meant to represent fields, and they will cross roads, and that's just not how fields work. Fields, at least in the UK, follow roads like this. So this just feels a lot more realistic. Um, we are also, well, that's interesting, some kind of a quarry just opposite the airport. You can see we've got lots of cars. I'm not zooming in because I noticed a little bug before. If you zoom in, you'll notice that the cars aren't actually sitting in their spaces. Spaces are one way, or are they? Oh, they are, but the spaces are all over the shop. It's a bit weird. Anyway, so this is Newcastle Airport. This is fairly true to life. You do have a large hotel as you come in here. Bit of a flaky texture problem here, but that's fine. Newcastle Airport is kind of split into what used to be the domestic terminal on the right and the international terminal on the left. But now the domestic terminal on the right is British Airways, which does fly only domestically, but also Jet2, which is very well known for flying internationally. And on the left, the international terminal is just everybody else. Emirates, I believe, also flies from the international terminal on the left-hand side. You can see here on the right-hand side, there's a little tower just poking up from one of the buildings. That's the old tower. And then when Emirates started to become big, they actually put a load of money into the airport. And I was hoping to There we go. There we go. This is not what it looks like, but they basically paid for a new control tower in Newcastle Airport. The new control tower isn't this big. It doesn't look like this. It does look fancy, don't get me wrong, but it's not as big as this. This is for much, much, much larger, more complicated airport than Newcastle Airport. Um, okay, so quick overview of the airport. We have one runway, which is 0725, which I'll prove to you. Not that you need me to prove it to you. 25. This long taxiway up to the end of 25 is Delta. We have a little runway, sorry, a little taxiway just coming off the runway there, which is Charlie. You have Charlie East and Charlie West, which it splits into. If you're landing from the North Sea onto 25, then you will typically try and vacate onto that first exit on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. That is Bravo. And then next to Bravo, we have Alpha. And if you're taking off on 07, you will generally take off from the Alpha taxiway. But opposite the passenger terminal over here and all the gates, which are off. Sorry, I've got no parked aircraft. I've turned that off just to get a bit more performance because I'm only running a GTX 1070, which to be fair isn't doing too badly. I don't have all the settings on maximum, but even so, the clouds are looking a lot better than they were in some of the earlier version 12 releases. And the reason why we're all here today, oh, that's cool, you can see the radar on the left hand side, that does exist. But if we just zoom in across here, this is the general aviation terminal, or general aviation apron, and today we are here to try and get this bad boy in the air. I should say bad girl, shouldn't I? Because we do refer to aircraft and machines as female. You know, she flies well, or yeah, she's quick, that sort of thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've set up my Cytec yoke. First thing I want to do is just make sure that everything's plugged in. You may hear the yoke creaking. That's a very, very large elevator. Check the rudder pedals. Yeah, it's quite a creaky yoke system, but hopefully you can put up with it. It's quite good, I do like it. It works really nicely with X-Plane. It works less well with Microsoft Flight Simulator for some reason. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. I just want to make sure that we have everything set up. So I'm just going to stop there and I'll stitch these together so there'll be no break for you. One moment. So I'm just trying to find a happy medium between performance of the recording and also performance of X-Plane. So let's just quickly check again that we have all of our flight controls. Yep, that all looks marvelous. Do we have trim tab? No. For some reason the trim tab only works when the power's on. So we'll do that in a moment. So first of all, this is a great looking Kodiak. So this used to be called the Quest Kodiak. Now it's called the Deher. I don't know if that's how you say it. I've had a look at some of the videos online. They call it Dyer, which is definitely not what it looks like. But if that's how you say it, then that's what it is. This might be a Dyer Kodiak 100. But yeah, Deher. But it used to be called a Quest, which is a lot easier to say. It's an interesting looking plane. First time I saw one of these, I just sort of fell in love with it, to be honest. I know it's a dumpy looking utility plane. I know it's not particularly sexy or anything like that. Currently flying or learning to fly Cessnas. I like the high wing. I just like the weight being suspended from the wing above. I find that gives you uh, so it creates like a pendulum effect. Just gives you a little bit better stability. Not that I've ever actually flown a low wing aircraft, but I do find the high wing to be very stable. And this is just a really big Cessna. I know you get the Cessna 208 Caravan, which again, I love that plane. It looks great. Always try and fly one if I'm in a sim. But this to me is it's a cool plane. and it's made by the same people who make the TBM, which is super slick and sexy and fast, which is great. So I'm just noticing some really interesting details. So just these, I'm guessing these are flap tracks. These are the things that are normally covered over with those giant plastic canoe things that you see hanging out the back of the wings on airliners. Um, see what works. Oh, that's interesting. When I tried to open the door, the pilot looked at me. Does it open? Hello? I know oh, they're both looking at me now. Oh, jeez, the eyes are following you. That's terrifying. Okay, let's try this side. Okay. Get out, dude. We want to get in. Ooh, I do something with this. Ah, I've turned off the cursor as well. You can't see what I'm clicking on. So I'm trying to click on the fire extinguisher to see if I can activate it or something in a hilarious fashion. But it's not working. Okay, so let's shut the door again. I've had my fun. Come on, shut. There we go. What else can I play with? What else can I play with? So, the propeller's turning. Anyone who's only flown piston aircraft will be like, well, how's that propeller spinning? Surely the engine's not turning. But no, this is a turbine aircraft. This has, I believe, the PT6, which is I want to say the largest or the most popular mass-produced turbo prop or turbo shaft engine in the world. It's on the Pilatus PC-12, it's on the Cessna Caravan, the 208. But yeah, it's a turbine, which actually means when it's switched off, then there's basically the shaft all the way through the turbine engine is just free to spin, and it's only when fuel is blown across it and set alight that it starts to spin under power. But when you leave it alone, it's actually very easy just to turn by hand even. Shall we jump inside? Oh, also just one quick thing. The color scheme, this is purely accidental. I was playing around with the dynamic livery thing in here and I messed it up. But yeah, you can basically paint your own livery while you're inside the aircraft, or you can just choose from your painted liveries. I only have. Do I only have? Oh no, do you know what? I played with this before and it crashed, so I'm not going to do it right now. But it comes with just an all white livery, so I'm just going to just leave it like that. Let's jump inside. So that's not inside, Rich. One key press. Okay, so we're inside now. There's my rather happy and vacant looking co-pilot. That's good. There's no pilot sat here when you're sat here. That's good. Oh, just look at the reflections. Just look at that. The reflection on the cowling. Beautiful. This X-Plane is rapidly becoming a very visually engaging simulator. It's always been engaging from a flight model point of view, but with the threat of Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think the response from Lamina Research has been phenomenal. The clouds are so much better. They're not perfect, I'll grant you, but they are looking a lot better than even the earlier even last version of version 12. So, okay, first thing first, I am not a complex aircraft pilot. I have never flown a constant speed propeller aircraft, but I have watched a couple of videos this morning. This is legitimately my first flight of the day at Kodiak, and yeah, you're going to have to be really gentle with me. We're going to do some learning together. I'm probably going to show you some things not to do, so you don't have to, but let's find out together. So I have had a quick look around. I've started it up before with my daughter. She enjoyed clicking the buttons. It's not actually that difficult to get this thing up and running. First things first, I'm going to remove the yoke just because I find it gets in the way. Just like in the Cessna 150, we start with the master, and I've been advised through watching a few videos we should also turn on the avionics bus. So you can hear that whir. I hope you can hear that whir. I need to turn that up just a touch. doing a bit of sound mixing as well. And then up here you'll find that you've got your fuel shut-offs. So, oh, that's not helpful. What we can do is, I found if you move the mouse to the bottom of this corner, you can turn on that one and then that one there. So we now have our fuel switched on for the left wing and the right wing. And next we want to, so we've got a bunch of different levers here, which I'm sure all of you complex aircraft pilots are going, oh, you're being stupid. But you know, this is new to me, so please be gentle. We do have a condition lever here, which I've been advised is, although it looks like a mixture, it's not a mixture, and it actually has a few different settings. And also we have this feather button here, a feather lever as well. Sorry, propeller lever here, which you can put into feather, which is what I believe we start off with, so that the plane doesn't just run away. And then you've got this this mixture lever here. So the mixture lever goes from fuel off to low idle, which is there, to flight idle. When we're on the ground, we use low idle, and when we're in the air, we use flight idle. And this basically sets the lowest speed that the engine will turn at. So it's not really like a mixture. You don't control the fuel-air ratio with this, but you just tell the engine, which is governed and it's got a FADEC, I believe, so full authority digital engine control. You're just basically saying, I'm on the ground, I'm in the air, or switch off the engines. So let's start with low idle. Also, the throttle in a fixed propeller or a constant speed aircraft, not a fixed propeller aircraft. This is the opposite of that. I believe this works slightly differently. So this basically sets the amount of torque, and then we set the propeller, which effectively the pitch of the propeller defines the RPMs, the rotation speed of the aircraft. So you may want to have low RPMs. You may want to have, for the same amount of power, you can decide to have, so low power, high RPMs is the equivalent of like the low gear on your bike for climbing up hills. And when you're in the cruise, where you want to have long, like a long gear, so you want to just do one rotation of your pedals for, I don't know, 5 rotations of the wheels, then you can actually pull the propeller back, and then you get less less torque, I guess. So you need more power in order to get that. Anyway, I'm learning this myself. I did see an interesting thing saying that the prop should always be on top. So you should always have the propeller in front of where the power is. And if you end up in a low propeller situation and a high power situation, you're basically asking an awful lot of the propeller. So the propeller will be pitched to grab as much air as possible, and you have maximum power as well. So you're putting a lot of torque through that propeller. So you don't really want that. You want the propeller to be, well, at least for takeoff, we want the propeller to be spinning as freely as possible, high RPMs, and yeah, I understand this is how we want it to be. So after that horrendous discussion of constant speed, I was going to say fixed propellers. Yeah, it's not a fixed propeller. It's a variable pitch propeller, but it's a constant speed propeller. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this up. So not a million miles away from a Cessna. I'm going to put the fuel pump on. We are going to put the ignition on, and then we are going to hit the starter button. And what we should see is that turning. We've got, I don't know what any of these mean, I'll be honest with you. turn that down a touch. I know that ITT on a jet turbine is intermediate turbine temperature, so that looks good. It's in the green, at least. Our torque is 121. If I just increase the power, okay. So I can increase the amount of torque with that power lever. And did I change this by, yes, I changed the propeller. Aha, okay. I'm gonna have to get used to this. So we are at ground idle at the moment. This is another thing as well, this power setting. So that looks fun. We're gonna have to play with that a little bit. One thing I forgot, obviously, is I didn't turn on the beacon, and I think we can probably turn off, turn on the generator, turn on the alternator, turn off the ignition. We don't need the starter motor anymore. Um, do we need the fuel pump? No, leave it as that. Okay, turn on the auxiliary bus. Don't know what that does, but there we go. Okay. He's still happy. That's good. We haven't got any passengers. Jump outside. So our aircraft is looking good. We'll drop some flaps. Ooh, that's a nice animation. Very good. Is there... Can we open this door? Oh no, we shouldn't. We can. Jump back inside. Okay, so let's take this for a flight. First thing we're going to do is taxi across there to the holding point. So if we turn off the brakes, hopefully I'm not going to just fly straight forward. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. So if I push the propeller all the way forward, I don't go anywhere. The more I pull it back, the more I move forward. Interesting. This is bizarre. What are you so happy about? Alright, don't look at me. Not really moving anywhere. Okay, so this is what I don't like about these constant speed things. Remove the power, nothing's happening. I really, really, really wish I knew what I was doing here. Everything just feels a little bit backwards. Okay, so that's not really changed that. What happens if... Oh, we're off. I hope this is entertaining to you. Very embarrassing. That does nothing. I must be missing something obvious here. There's some way of finding out which way the propeller is pointing or something. very, very stationary right now. Hmm. Is there something I've forgotten to do? This propeller thing seems to be the thing that we need to play with. So we have 300 talks. That sounds like a lot of talks. Why is things raising now? Okay. All of a sudden we have a little bit of forward momentum. I know that there is a timer on these things, so it does take 2 minutes before you can use them or something like that. Oh, that's running away with itself. Get out of the way. D-Her Kodiak coming through. Let's power forward. We've got all the torque in the world. Just need to try and figure out where to put the prop. Oh, come on. Can't be this hard to fly a bush plane. I mean, it looks dead easy on YouTube, doesn't it? We don't need a lot of power. We just need a little bit of the propeller to bite into the air and take us where we want to go. So just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to just use this propeller feathering thing to keep us moving. I don't know which way the wind's blowing, but I can hear the planes from Newcastle Airport, where I live, and I know they've been taking off from this runway, so we will backtrack. Chocks Highway Flight 1, backtracking runway 25 for takeoff. So in that very, very, very strange not using the power lever as a throttle lever. Well, hey. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, that was weird. I need to get this sorted out before we go flying, because I'm not going to have enough forward momentum to get in the air. Now I know manifold pressure is very, very important on these things. It should be displayed somewhere there. Doing all sorts of things at the minute. Just yawing really badly as well. Come on, turned all the power down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around, and then I'm going to wait until I can see that the aircraft is draining on its brakes, ready to go. So pop a UE, probably hear me creaking on my rudder paddles there, but that's... I don't have enough power to keep going around this corner. Come on, plane. Come on, you know you want to. I'm going to put you into flight idle now. It's like a sweet spot on the propeller control. I'm not changing anything, but you can see the values on the engine changing by themselves, which is really strange. Okay, so let's see if we can get this thing motoring. Let's have a look. So, fuel pump, I want to put back on just because yeah, I don't know why. No, let's not do that. Fuel, flaps 10 degrees, condition is full, that's feather. Oh, that's a strange way of doing that. Very hard to control that with the mouse. Ah, so there's idle. It's doing a lot of things by itself now. Let's make hay because it looks like it's trying to fly. Very little rudder inputs on this. Tiny little adjustments to the yaw. I know this stalls at 60 knots with flaps out. We're going to just let it run to about, let's say, 75 knots. There's 80. Feels quite heavy. There's a good bit of weight in the model. That's nice. Oh, that's cool. A little bit of condensation on the windscreen there. That is very clever. Oh, just use the trim because we're not really climbing here. See that amazing scenery through the rain effects. Keep that nose at 10 degrees. I'd like to try and get above the weather, to be honest, just so I can see how she performs, and then we'll come back into Newcastle Airport. She is not a fast aircraft. Bring those flaps in.
Don't sink.
I'm not sinking.
Don't sink.
Try not to. So, everything is at full power right now, but we are not getting very far away from the ground. Which means there must be something wrong with my propeller settings. Also 20 degrees off course. Let's see if we can do something here. Okay, so I'm reducing the RPMs, but the speed is actually going up. Not really climbing anywhere. That's full power, just messing about with the propeller control. Sounds like a stall warning horn. So just a full power. Oh, there we go. Oh, tappy there. Okay, so if we just leave it around about 50% on the propeller control. If that nose get away from the ground. Just looking rather close. Sounds like it's not really working very hard, but we've got more torques than I've seen so far. That's because so I've got the prop is not on top, which means I'm asking a lot of the propeller right now. The propeller is in its least streamlined position. Ah, right, okay, so that's... Yes, I'm getting the hang of this now. So we don't want the pitch of the propeller to be completely feathered, but we don't want it to be too far away from feathered because that will allow the engine to spin faster. So Newcastle Airport, we're now south of the River Tyne. Don't think Auto has loaded these textures because you can still see some of the fields are spanning the roads. I'm going to try and get up to around about 2,000 feet. There's 2,000. Try and fly straight and level if I can. Yeah, she doesn't roll particularly quickly, but she's not really designed for that. Just using the electronic trim just to try and keep level at 2,000 feet. Doesn't move very fast. There is the A1, the main road between Edinburgh and London. So I recognise a lot of these roads. These are the roads that I pretty much drive on every day of my life. That is really good. That's really fascinating. And then you've got what used to be Europe's largest indoor shopping mall, known as the Metro Centre, just here. Oh, this is something else I've noticed. Oh, hang on. I am descending. Yeah, alright. Something else I've noticed as well is that occasionally the filter seems to go from yellow to blue while flying in X-Plane at the moment. So the aircraft seems, what have we got? We're 140 knots there. That seems quite nice, quite doable. Just maintain that as we go along the famous River Tyne with its many, many bridges. It might have more bridges than any other river of its size. I would like to say it does, but who knows. We're very proud of our or river in Newcastle. That is Gateshead Stadium down there. That is interesting to see too. Fascinating. Yeah, the Auto Ortho Plus Sim Heaven really does change this from an IFR simulator with a good flight model to something you can use for VFR. So we just turn a little bit north here. We're flying currently east. That cloud, that shelf, doesn't look too realistic, but yeah, clouds will cloud. Sometimes you do get weather fronts like that with quite well defined boundaries. Try and stay under it. Newcastle Airport should be off to our left. Just out of our window there, this is Tyne Dock. Quite a famous harbour and dock, very, very famous stretch of river. A lot of very large ships were built around this area during the 1800s and 1900s. In fact, the last major ship builder called Swan Hunter was closed just a few years ago. Oh, there's a church. Look, see the church. So this is actually quite sporty. So we're doing 140 knots. I am having to push forward a little bit just to maintain our altitude. But yeah, she's quite easy to fly. Flies like a heavy, slightly dumpy Cessna, but yeah, it works. So we're going to head up here to probably Blythe-ish, and then we'll turn inbound to Newcastle Airport to land. That looks like what we call the coast road, the A1058. Weather effects on this are a combination of really good. So the first time you see this, you're like, oh my god, that looks so realistic. But also, yeah, I guess that probably is what it would look like. But it's a little bit annoying that you can't see it. Maybe that is entirely accurate. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use the GPS to help guide us towards our approach path. Sometimes as well, the streaks of rain get a little bit confused, and then they do this weird zigzaggedy thing, which you may or may not see. So you can tell immediately when you're going into an area of ortho downloaded satellite imagery. The ground just, the colours, the tones, it just looks so much more realistic. I wonder if I can set up an ILS. Never ever really taken the time to learn how to use these things. So nav1, 110, oh no, hang on, 111.5. That's fine. And then we want the course to be, oh hang on, that's a barrow. Why is that not changing the course? Okay, let's just do this by sight and feel. So that's just over 50%. I'm going to try and reduce the power a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out, okay, that propeller is free spinning. So at least I know I can turn off the power when I need it. Bring it back. Yep, just about. There we go. Oh, it takes a moment or two to kick in. I can see the runways ahead. 1,200 feet. Bit low. Let's see how I land. Can I gently reduce the power? Because I don't need all of this. See the runway up ahead. My concern here is that all of a sudden it just kicks in and the power sends us flying off the end of the runway. So I think that's now in feather. I think. I'm not within the white arc, so I can't really deploy flaps right now. Pull the power back. Propeller's feathered as far as I know.
Too low, flaps. Too low, flaps.
Put flaps out.
Too
I'm
low,
now just treating
flaps.
this like a
Too low,
engine out
flaps.
situation, to be honest.
Too low, flaps.
See how she lands.
Too low, flaps.
I have flaps. Flaps
Too
are
low,
out.
flaps.
See, now she's floating. I am too fast, mind, so it is all me. Not my best landing. Not on the centre line, which is classic for me. What's with the yaw? I don't get the yaw. I really just don't get the yaw. But she just suddenly yaws out of nowhere. Cut the engine. Yeah. I have a little bit of learning to do with this aircraft. Starting to get a feel for the propeller control. Um, yes, yes, yes. Shush. What are you doing? What are you doing? Restart the engine. Just want to try something on the ground here. So I'm going to do medium power. We've got flight idle on the condition. And I think if I just gently move it out of feather and move that propeller control forward, we should then start to see some forward movement. There we go. Okay, this is starting to make a lot more sense now. If I just pull that back, and that should more or less feather the prop. We do low power, a little bit of propeller. No, see that stationary there. Just a bit of power. Okay, okay, this is starting to. Oh, it takes off, mind. Doesn't half take off. Right, let's get parked up and shut her down. The other thing as well that we probably could start having a look at is this menu. Has it got any checklists? Mode simplified. Ooh, realistic. Put that power again. What else? Ooh, you can turn things on like cargo pods. Cargo pod. Ooh, now it looks like a 208 caravan. That looks nice. We've still got enough electrical power to raise the flaps. Yes, we do. Startup running off. GPU. Ooh, GPU. All covers, all tie downs, all doors. Ooh, lovely. I love some doors you can open. That is nice. Electric tug. Oh, that's clever. Do you like an electric tug? Oh, it. Ah, sorry if that's super loud. Apparently when you change that setting, it recycles the aircraft. Let's just shut everything, take off everything we need to. Cargo pod doors closed, which indicates that we can open the pod doors, just like Thunderbird 2. Pod doors open. On this side, of course it does. Close them. Chocks on, chocks off, brakes on. Okay, can't do that. Checklist, here we go. Here we go. Speed, 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 speed. Take off. Yeah, 90 knots. Flaps 20, 60, 65. So a 10 flap, a 10 degree flap. Take off. We did 75. That's not a million miles away. That's good. What else can we do? We've had a look at the liveries. In balance. Ah, so there you go. There you've got the envelope, the flight envelope. Cameras, camera presets. Ooh, hello. Just close that checklist. And have a look from different angles. That's a as horizontal. Ooh, interesting. Ah, right, yes. Because I was like, why is that doing that? But it's because we have the tug on the front. You can control the tug using your elevators, I guess, and the rudder. And the rudder. This is cool. Okay, forget X-plane. X remote control planes. This is what I want to play on. Then we can stop, and then we can go backwards. Do that. Reverse. Just do some parallel parking. Nice. Okay, that's quite handy. Stop. Audio. Sleeves of sound is on. Master volume. Miscellaneous. Oh, fairings. Turn off the fairings. So the fairings. So this is the Daher Kodiak 100. And the Deer Kodiak 900 is a stretched version of this. It's been revamped by Daher. So this is basically the Quest Kodiak. Um, when Daher bought, it wasn't. I mean, they must have bought Quest, but there's another firm as well, maybe Sandpiper, something like that. They bought. Anyway, they went through the whole of the Kodiak 100, which we have here, revamped all of the cooling, the airflow, routed all the cooling through the engine so it didn't slow the air down or didn't impede the airflow, and gave it. So this has got 750 horsepower from the PT6 engine on the front. The 900 has 900 horsepower, as the name suggests. But they said that adding the fairings added about 6 knots of top speed. Oh, you can put skis on as well. That's cool. Tires, regular. Ooh, Tundra tires like that. Mud flaps. Pilots, different pilots. Interesting. I like playing with stuff like this. Let's see what our options are. That's option 1. That's option 2. No, let's have the woman in the captain's seat. One thing I'm trying to do with my daughter is trying to amplify the place of women in those industries where they're less well represented, like flying. Can change the interior as well. So let's turn around and have a look in here. So we can have Timberline or we can have Executive. Oh, I like this a lot. Executive. Cargo. Oh, hang on. Interesting. Let's figure out a way of seeing this. Okay, so it's just there's no windows on that side, Rich. That ain't gonna work. Have a look through here. Oh, there's boxes and stuff. Nice, but no. Let's turn off the cargo. Let's say executive. What's synthetic vision? I'm guessing that's going to be something to do with the avionics. Ah, so it changed the autopilot from the plug-in one down here to the integrated Garmin G1000 bezel. So you can see these controls for heading and approach, hold, and all that sort of stuff. Move up to there. That's nice. Anti-ice equipped. Yes. Don't know what those do. So yeah, I forget what I paid for this, to be honest. But all in all, fairly happy with this. It's detailed enough. It's got a few different options. It flies. The flight model is interesting as insofar as it's got a bit of weight to it. I've got a lot of work to do to understand the whole nature of a constant speed propeller. But apart from that, yeah, really happy with this Kodiak, and it has remote control car mode, which I'm probably gonna spend far too much time playing on. Lovely. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a complete mess, obviously, because it is a first flight. I'm not a complex aircraft pilot. I've never flown a fixed, I want to say fixed propeller. It's not a fixed propeller. It's a variable pitch propeller, but a constant speed one. Ooh, I've just noticed those little, what are those things there for? That doesn't, interesting. Just wondering what those little veins on the vertical stabilizer are for. But yeah, the model looks good. I've had to turn down some of the settings just to get the performance for the recording. Just even the sounds of the rain. Just turn everything off and just listen to that rain in here, honestly. So good. Lamina Research have done such a good job. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to practice a little bit more and I'll come back with not quite so first flight of the Deher Kodiak 100. I hope to see you soon. Catch you later.